Sometime when the 2020s, two geeks from social media formed an alliance to bring you geek news from across the Nostalgiaverse. They are Jacob's Toys and SuperSorrell, bringing you a weekly live show, toy, TV and movie reviews, special guests, opinions, tangents, and bad impressions, reveals, releases, thoughts, maybe dreams. Now prepare for the Geek Week in Review.
Hello, it's episode 121 of the Geek Week in Review with me, Jacob's Toys, and of course the wonderful one and only SuperSorrell. Not feeling so super this week, are you though, Sorrell?
Yeah.
A bit poorly, so it's all good. It's all good. Hello everyone in the chat. I've got a few people. I'll give some shout outs in a minute. Do keep that chat alive. It helps us with the content of the show, and we can obviously bounce off you guys. If you're watching us on repeat, thank you very much for tuning in. Try tuning in on a Sunday one day with a live show. It's all good. It's all good. We have a special guest a little bit later. We pre-recorded a interview with Cyberzoic, which is a very cool new crowdfunded line from the guys who brought us Beasts of the Mesozoic. Did I say that right? It is, isn't it? It's very, very zoic, but very, very cool line indeed. So we'll play that a little bit later. We've got a few bits to talk about. We've obviously had New York Comic Con this weekend, so a little bit to talk about there. We had episode 2 of Loki. We've got the HasLab Giant Man campaign still going, and yeah, we've got MCM coming up as well, so maybe we'll talk about that as well. Quick shout out to a couple of people in the chat. Let's say we got Shelley. How are we doing, Shelley? Andy H, Andy Roberts, Joint 33, Joint Cyrilline 33. Who else we got? David, nice to see ya. And we will get to the comments as we go. How's your week been, Sorrell?
Good, man. Not bad at all. It's been an interesting one.
Yeah. What's been going on in the world of SuperSorrell this week?
Not massive amounts, but we did. Yeah.
There he goes. He spins the chair. He picks up a new purchase. It's how we roll.
Small things this time, but as Ryan would say, I'm a sucker for a blind bag. So we got some new horror bag clips from HMV. No, they're about £7 a pop. They're not cool. They're addictive, and they're £7 a pop. They're annoying, but I like them. So there you go. And you can, in this one, you can get Lost Boys, and I won't be happy until I've got David. So that's going to be a money grabber.
We're seeing a lot of Lost Boys merchandise pop up. What with Hot Toys announcing their David character, and then these things as well.
It's the big anniversary coming up, and it's 30th.
It is. I think it's going to be creeping in.
It's 30th or 40th, one of the 30th, I think. And then we've got
40th.
Is it the 40th? It will be, won't it? It's 1984, 5.
It's the 30th anniversary of Nightmare Before Christmas. That puts it into perspective.
Damn.
Yeah.
But then we got the brand new Five Nights at Freddy's fight line, which all the youngsters will be after.
Amazing. There's a lot of that in the stores at the moment. Five Nights.
A lot 2 weeks until it's going to be in the cinemas, and they upset a lot of kids, didn't they, with the announcement of the certificate of the film?
Yeah.
So
I was quite surprised at that. I was surprised. I thought they would aim it maybe even at like a 12 plus or something, just so that they could get, the
game was never intended for children. Technically, it's one of those awkward things where kids know what it is because it's very kid. Oh, what's the word for it? Attractive. Kids like the idea of Freddy, but like they shouldn't play the game. The story's well too deep for kids if you look at it like properly. It's well too nasty of a story for kids to be watching.
Oh, definitely. Got to pull it up for Andy H. Andy H, the man in the chair. He's outdoing you a little bit, Sorrell. But 1987, so 35 and a bit of change for Lost Boys. I thought it was late 80s because I'm an early 80s kid, and I remember watching it like as a kid. So I knew it was like a late 80s. I knew it was definitely an 80s film, but yeah, man, that does make me feel old. But it's still one of the best vampire films out there. I'm not going to lie. It's
one of the best of all time.
Yeah, still well ahead of its time. I started watching a film yesterday, actually. It might interest you. Dark Harvest. Have you seen that one on...
I've not seen that one yet.
Is it on Prime or Plus? Prime. It's on one of the streaming sites, but it's based on a book. And essentially it's about a town where all the teenage boys once a year have to fight this monster that comes out of the cornfield in order for the town to carry on, and it's just like a bit of fun. But yeah, I just started it. I turned it off after a little while, not because it was bad, but it was just getting late and it was scaring me. But
the new Interview with the Vampire from America, the AMC's TV version, that's now on BBC iPlayer, all 9 episodes.
I did see it pop up, but I didn't try it out. Have you watched it yet, or
not yet? I'm gonna settle down tomorrow, and I'm probably gonna binge it.
That was my thinking. I was like, I kind of got to binge watch this one. Yeah, I've kind of got to binge watch this. The anyway, mentioning old Ryan's move was the best vampire move ever, and it sucked the life out of me. Tell you what I did watch though, based on your recommendation. What's that Bloomhouse one?
Which one?
The new one.
Oh, Totally Killer.
Totally Killer. That was awesome.
That's a great movie, isn't it?
So fun. It was like really fun. Like it almost to the extent where it's kind of like, if it wasn't so gory in that, it would be a decent kind of young adult film, like a kid, not kids film, but like your teens kind of thing, because it is so funny and it's so ridiculous as well, like ridiculously ridiculous. In regards to the concept,
it reminds me a lot of Scream. It's like a modern Scream, isn't it? It's like it's poking fun at the horror genre while being a horror movie in itself.
Yeah,
it's poking fun at it.
That is a good way of describing it. Yeah. So let's talk telly. The only other kind of real thing that kind of was on our screens this week was Loki. Did you catch it this week?
No. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm not bothered about spoilers, so I can jump in.
It's a slow burn, to be fair. I don't know. I think the first series was so, I don't want to say revolutionary because it wasn't revolutionary, but you know, everyone talked about WandaVision and everyone talked about Loki. And we did, didn't we, on the show, like when it first came out. That's how long we've been going. So we've been going since Loki season 1. But yeah, I don't know. There just wasn't a huge amount that got me excited. I don't know if it's the kind of after effects of Ahsoka being so good, but yeah, it's good. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. But yeah, there's nothing really to discuss. There wasn't any kind of big, you know, gigantic kind of moments or anything like that. So yeah, but that's it really for TV, isn't there? There isn't really much else going on.
Yeah, but luckily we did have an awesome couple of days worth of toy news.
Yeah,
so jump in with that if you want.
So New York Comic Con, for anyone that doesn't know, probably most of you do, but New York Comic Con is a great big convention that takes place in New York every year. And it's become one of the kind of staple ones of the year alongside things like San Diego Comic Con. But ironically, they're now moving it away from New York Comic Con, aren't they?
Oh, well, here's the thing. Here's the burner. Here's the good one. Here's the first announcement of the day. So the Toy Association Board of Directors had announced that they were planning on moving from New York to New Orleans in 2026. However, according to the toy book, those plans have now been scrapped. Right now, the plan is to stay in New York City with the foreseeable future of possibly moving out to Los Angeles. Basically, a load of the big toy companies on the West Coast have basically said they would like a toy fair on the West Coast. They went to try, I think they tried Louisiana because it would probably be cheaper than doing it in LA. But obviously, all the toy companies are in California, so LA makes more sense.
Yeah, fair enough.
So basically, I think they're going to move to LA in 2026. But for now, they're staying in New York with no further changes for now.
It did seem like a silly move because obviously it's built up as a brand. Like New York Comic Con is, you know, it's a thing, isn't it? It's a
It's a big thing every year. It's one of the biggest ones other than San Diego in America, I would say.
Yeah,
it's the other like most recognizable logo on the planet.
Yeah,
easily.
There was a lot of creators over there. Obviously American-based creators, but a lot of people that I'm in touch with and that I follow and stuff were out there doing the videos and the interviews and all that kind of stuff. Hasbro were there. We'll talk about that very quickly. Hasbro were there showing off Giant Man, which we'll get to in a bit. But there was no announcements from Hasbro. They weren't there to announce anything, to reveal anything. They were just there to basically just represent the brand.
Yeah, it does seem, because we did get an announcement from Hasbro this weekend, though, didn't we? So we did get one thing, which was good. So it seems like Hasbro aren't announcing anything just yet, because obviously they're going to bring back the 1027 event. And they've announced that the first thing to be announced at the 1027 is going to be something for Ghostbusters. Obviously, we know the new Ghostbusters movie's in the works, so hopefully we'll get some legacy merch followed by a new wave of products. A bit similar to how they handled it last time with the last movie release with Afterlife. Probably a boatload of old merch and then some new.
Did you see their little kind of skit that they did?
Yes.
I've got to say, I've really got to say, like the Ghostbusters. I even commented on the video. I was like, the Ghostbusters team, by far, there is no arguing. They had the most fun with reveals. Like they staged the whole opening of like Ghostbusters at Hasbro HQ, and they had like all the figures piled up. They had CGI of things moving around, like, but it was still really like low budget. It just was brilliant. But I have no idea. I really have no idea what this is. I'm assuming it's going to be a HasLab. It's going to be like a big thing. I can't imagine that they would put this much kind of teasing into just a new line. I think there's going to be something to it.
Yeah.
Do you reckon? Or do you reckon it's going to be figures or like a line?
I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be the Plasma series. I think a lot of people are hoping for a new line of Plasma series. I don't think it's going to be that.
No.
However, I do think it's going to be Ghostbusters. Yep. And I've got a feeling it might be something, you know, like we've seen the kids line for Indiana Jones, Star Wars, and the other franchises.
Ah, okay.
I'm wondering whether they're going to make the Ecto-1, the fire station, and kind of redo that kind of stuff in that new adventure scale size. And then to coincide with that, you know, the Kenner Classics that they put out for Ghostbusters?
Yep.
I reckon they'll do the Kenner Classics. They'll re-release them yet again on the card back, so we get the figures again in the Ecto-1. But this time, I think they'll give us the Firehouse like we had back in the 80s, and it'll be the classic Kenner style Firehouse. I think that's going to be the big reveal.
With the slime as well.
Yeah.
Because they did a Venom figure not too long ago. I got it for my son that had slime, and it, you know the one I'm talking about. You put the slime in his back. So the first thing I thought was, I was like, Hasbro, if you're doing slime, you've got to give us a Firehouse. Like, come on, that's the toy of the 80s that we thought of when it came to slime. Apart from like the He-Man dunk tank thing, but it was all about the Firehouse.
I was thinking, as if you're going to go Slimer made from slime.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't
so
it?
Like a Slimer figure that you can literally put the slime inside of it and it'll ooze out of him. Like when he move him, he like drops slime everywhere, just like in the films.
That would be quite cool.
So you can basically Slimer your own figures. If you've got the toys, like the kind of classics, you can Slimer them basically.
I'm going to go outside the box, and I'm going to say that I think it might be a HasLab kind of Ecto-1 to go with the Plasma series, or even go as far as saying something like a Marshmallow Man or a Firehouse HasLab, just something big that, you know, that they could really put the marketing into and give us something. Because I think if a Firehouse was a HasLab, I think a lot of people would get behind it because it's a play set, and you'd get other brands, like people that collect other things, buying into it because it's a big diorama piece. And you've only got to look at the is it Super 7, the street diorama thing that you can get?
Yeah.
And that goes like hotcakes. And I know that's a much lower price, but so many people buy it because it's a way to display their figures, it's a way to photograph their figures. So I think to give us sort of something that was, you know, 360 degrees and all the possibilities there of like a Firehouse, you could do all the kind of Spider-Man photographs, you could do all of the like the street level kind of villains and heroes and stuff. And Marvel, you've got all the G.I. Joe stuff that would go with it. Like, it would just be a HasLab building, basically.
I'm also wondering, because they keep saying it's a big announcement and they keep showing this, I'm wondering.
He looks so sad.
I'm wondering whether they're going to make a scaled it'll be a HasLab and make it, because they've already done like Giant Man, they're already used to making big figures at the factory. Why not just make a big version of Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and to scale it to the figures, so it'd be like a good 16 inches tall.
Like Andy said in the chat, like, I've not bothered with HasLabs, but would be all over a Firehouse if they do one. I think it would be a good shout. But yeah, Stay Puft. I mean, it was weird that they'd kind of included Stay Puft in. Sorry, I was having a slight coughing fit, but I did think it was odd that they included Marshmallow Man in that promo video, because there was no reason for him to be there in the scene that they were recreating. It was just a very random kind of inclusion, and it's quite obviously just somebody in a half inflated suit.
Take the Galactus mold idea with his interchangeable faceplates and things that you can do with him, and imagine that you could have the original Stay Puft, change out some plates on his face and chest, and have the burnt version of him. Change out the face and have the angry face. You know what I mean? They could literally have one that's covered in scorch marks, one that looks normal, and it's just interchangeable little plates that you would just slot on with magnets or something.
Yeah.
It would be so easy to do. And they do it to the scale of like a Galactus. And I think people that have got the things will be all over that, you know. And obviously, if you get that diorama set from Diamond to put the figures on as well, that'd just be.
Oh yeah.
Because then you'd be able to stand him at the height and stuff. It'd look really cool.
I think the only problem with the Stay Puft is that he is so big, as in wide and tall and all the rest of it. He would be very hard to display. He'd be very hard to store for a lot of collectors.
Well, same with Galactus, but they did it and people bought into it. Galactus is absolutely huge, but people have him.
Yeah, that's very true. But at least he's kind of thinner. Like Stay Puft is very rotund, shall we say? Is you know, he is a round character. I think for him to be in scale, he wouldn't fit in any of my cabinets. Put it that way. Yeah,
but it looks interesting. I'm excited to see where they go with it.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
And
I think they've been quiet at New York. Yeah, I think they've been quiet at New York Comic Con because of 10/27. Because obviously they announced a few things at Toy Fair, and then they've saved it 2 weeks to end it on the 10/27 event, more than likely.
Yeah. To just throw a spanner in the works quickly and just sideline from New York Comic Con, we've got MCM coming up on the 27th, 28th, and 29th, and Hasbro have just announced, like literally on Friday, announced that they're going to be there. And there's representatives from all of the different brands. So you've got like Ryan Ting from Legends, you've got Emily from Ghostbusters and G.I. Joe and stuff. And they're doing a panel as well. And last year when they did a panel, they had a whole ton of reveals that they revealed at the MCM Comic Con. It seems a bit weird for them to have booked in a panel if there's nothing to reveal. That's my only thinking with MCM. So there might be something there, unless they're just going to recap what was shown at 10/27 for those that didn't tune in. But anyway, back to NYC.
Sorry, I'm just getting excited because I've literally just had an email drop into my inbox from Comics and Cocktails.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Nosferatu is on his way.
No way.
Yeah, the ultimate cool. Super 7's ultimate Nosferatu is literally en route.
That is very cool. That is very cool.
Happy boy. A couple of things did drop though with this week, which were out of nowhere. So these are absolutely stunning figures as well, and these are from Disney. So I mean, these are a little different. But we're going to start with because Haunted Mansion just dropped recently. They've dropped this amazing looking statue.
That's very cool.
180 quid though, but she does light up. And it does sing the song as well, and it is a complete 360 diorama piece.
Wow,
that is a beautiful piece, and it does the whole. She sings the song. It does the whole Grim Grinning Ghost thing. It does all the sound effects, but it also has the like ambience version as well. So it's just got the crow squawking and like the soundtrack from basically inside the ride. That's just like eerie noises.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. There's a little bit in me. There's a little bit of me that's like, I could get that. And I would love it.
You know what? 180 isn't a huge amount for something that size in today's market.
It isn't. But obviously, as you said, it's the 30th anniversary of a certain Mr. Skellington. And Disney also dropped this. And I think I want this more.
Yeah.
And this is £300. Oh.
I've seen this.
But it's two giant dolls basically with interchangeable costumes and faces, so you can actually have Jack as either regular Jack or as the infamous Santa Claus. But it's very cool because they come with interchangeable face plates which are like held on by magnets and stuff. It comes with a little diorama piece as well to stand them in front of, although they're totally not to scale with it. And then you get a little flying Zero to pop with them.
I really thought we were going to see more Nightmare Before Christmas stuff.
I think we will, but I think it will be more around Christmas time. I think because they had Haunted Mansion to fall back on this year. I think this, and obviously Hocus Pocus as well is in its 30th anniversary or something.
Mhm.
Hocus Pocus is having a big one this year, so I think they've saved it for Christmas because they've got no other Christmas movies.
Yeah,
Not
no,
many.
fair.
So I reckon they'll pump out a load of Santa Jack merch later on in the year.
I always class it as a Christmas film rather than a Halloween film, personally.
I do.
Although it touches in both, it's definitely a Christmas themed film because the whole thing is him taking over Christmas as opposed to him taking over Halloween. So, yeah, I think you might be right. That'd be quite cool though. I'll just be disappointed that it all comes in after Halloween because I like getting my Nightmare Before Christmas stuff out for Halloween.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, going back to the HasLab, it hasn't moved too much, has it, this week?
No. So at the time of filming, they still haven't broke 6,000 backers. So let's have a look. Yeah,
we're very close. So we're on 5,937 out of 10,000. It's got 8 days to go. I don't think it's going to fund.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, I did a video on it this week, and it had a stupid amount of views and comments and all this kind of stuff. And for the most part, people are relatively positive. I mean, my video wasn't slagging it off. It wasn't kind of hyping it up. It was just very much, this is where we're at with it. This is the things they've done previously with HasLab. This is what they're doing now. Why is this not backed? Is it going to back? All that kind of stuff. But people seem to be relatively positive about it. Like there's not as much negativity about the HasLab as it is as there was for the last one, but there doesn't seem to be as much interest in this one. And they obviously had him. It is, and they had him at New York Comic Con on full display. There's videos circulating of how the head works and all that kind of stuff, and the engineering of how the faceplates work and all that kind of stuff is fantastic, like how they've done it. And everyone that kind of was there filming it and putting pictures up of it and stuff was saying, it looks so much better in person. The Build-A-Figure one, the old Toy Biz Build-A-Figure one, is still going for nearly 200 as well. So it's a huge amount of value for money in comparison to that one. But at the same token, like for me personally, I'm not in the market to go and to buy the Build-A-Figure one. I'm not fussed about it. So it could be 200, it could be 700. I'm not fussed about it. So therefore, it's not relative to the price difference for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know whether it's going to back or not. I mean, for people that want it, and I said this in my video, for the people that want it, I severely hope it does back. Because if there are people out there that want the product, then I really hope that they get the product. I'm not one of those people that's kind of like, oh, no, it's rubbish. I hope no one ever has it. Or it's amazing, everyone should have it, or anything like this. But if there's people out there that want it, I really genuinely hope that it gets backed for their sake. But it's a weird one. It really is a weird one. Now, Galactus also made a lot of movement in that last week, like a huge amount of movement. It went from being nowhere, like just under like completion, to over nearly tripling numbers that they had. So anything could happen this week, realistically, with it. But
definitely,
I don't think we've seen enough people. One of the things, I don't want to go over too much old ground, but one of the main things that I said in the video I did was there's no kind of, there isn't the excitement with this one because we know what's on offer. We know all the tiers. We know all of the, there's no chase. It's either you want it or you don't. And it's an affordable amount. They've listened to what we've said. They've given us articulation. They've given us an affordable amount. They've not hidden tiers or anything like that. So they've listened to the fans, but there just doesn't seem to be that much interest as there has been about the other ones.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really don't know. If I was a gambling man, I'd say I'd probably put my money on it not back him. But I'd go into that bet fully expecting to lose as much as win, because I really have no idea.
Yeah, the thing is, we don't know how it's done in other markets, and obviously some markets still don't have Pulse. So
it's true.
4,000 backers, it could do it. I mean, they could have 4,000 backers in Asia and other locations that might be interested in this. So I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know where it's going to go. Yeah, it's just a weird one, and it's I don't know. Like for the Marvel Legends team, I don't want them to have 2 consecutive HasLabs not backed when the first 2 were so kind of groundbreaking for the line. But yeah, I don't know. I'm genuinely like lost. I think with anything that requires us a lot of numbers and a lot of money, it has to be more than just a niche market. It has to be something that even casual fans could potentially get behind. And I'm shocked that we haven't had like a Spider-Man themed HasLab yet, because it just seems like there'd probably be more people behind that. But I don't know.
I'm really surprised we've not had a spider. I know something. I always thought there would be a spider car by now.
Yeah, but see, even I wouldn't get behind the spider buggy.
Would you not? Like it included like a Deadpool and a Spider-Man, and like a
no.
Really?
How am I going to do that?
I don't know. You got a Ghost Rider bike. You got a Ghost Rider bike, and
yeah, but Ghost Rider rides a bike. Spider-Man doesn't drive a car.
He does in the comics. He does in the comics.
And in the kids' cartoon, he's got like the buggy and stuff. But I don't know. I don't know.
He does in the comics. Even Deadpool.
I still fully believe that the most successful version of like a HasLab or a crowdfunded project now would be not scale, as in not a big figure, but multiple bigger things. If that makes sense. So almost like a bundle, like with a this is what your HasLab money is, £300 or whatever. But in that, you're going to get this figure, you're going to get this vehicle, you're going to get this team, like, and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of gives you almost like a box set, but like a massive one. And I think that would get the back in, because with a lot of the box sets, people tend to kind of wait for sales or wait for it to be reduced in price and stuff like that. But then there are a huge amount of people that buy them on release and get excited about the box sets and stuff. And I think if there was a HasLab that basically it's X amount of money, you get X amount included, and if we exceed past however many backers, we can add in an extra figure or an extra 2 figures. I don't know, something like that. I think big characters, most collectors are going to get 1 to 2 max. They don't want their displays full of oversized figures. So that's just my thinking. I mean, that's why I'm not backing it, and I've got no qualms in saying that I'm not backing it, because I don't want another large figure in my collection. I would have quite happily have had a car, but I don't want another large figure.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I think a lot of people are going to be in the same boat. They won't want too many of these giant things, but if they keep backing Hasbro, just keep producing them.
Oh yeah, and the long and short of it, regardless of what people want to say about how much money it costs or how much money they make or all that kind of stuff, the long and short of it is that this is a platform that allows them to give us something that they wouldn't normally be able to give us. They're not going to put Giant Man into production and then sell him at retail for 200 quid. So it gives them an opportunity to give us something like that.
£200 is actually one of the more reasonable prices I've heard from a HasLab. So I mean,
it's not a lot.
It's not that bad.
It's really not. When you think that some of the box sets have come out at like 120, 160, some of the waves are coming out at 160, 150. Like it's not a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it seems all right.
Especially when you compare it to other brands, and I know it's oranges and apples, but you look at Hot Toys, they're anywhere between kind of 280 to 580 quid. They're ridiculously expensive if you're picking into the right things, and there's still a market for people buying those. But for the people that would be backing this, their average spend per item is $20 to $30, to £30. So to ask for 200 for one item is a huge jump. It's like 10%, like, or whatever it is. Well, I don't even know my maths, but it's a huge jump. It's 10 times the price. That's my thoughts. But while we're talking about brands and stuff like that, should we talk about Cyberzoic?
Yeah, we're going to touch on the rest of the Comic-Con stuff afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, it's up to you.
We've got a bunch more toy news, so we can go over to Zoic for a bit if you want, and then we'll come back.
Should we go over to them and then come back to the New York Comic Con stuff?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so earlier in the week we sat down with David from Cyberzoic. So this is our interview, our chat, our conversation. There might be a bit of lag because it's playing via a live feed, but stick with it. It's quite interesting. That's just me.
Hey guys, today we're here with David from Cyberzoic, the new line that is coming out of the awesome studio that brought you the prehistoric, awesome dinosaurs. It's Creative Beast Studios themselves. David, how are we doing?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad at all, man.
Very well, thank you very much. Very, very well, thank you.
So yeah, we've got going on today because we're looking at a new IP that you're sort of releasing, the Cyberzoic series. We've seen some of the concept art coming out for that and the Kickstarter stuff. It's looking awesome, man. I can't lie. So we thought we'd get you on and have a good chat about it. But for the people that don't know where you came from and stuff, it was all about the Beast of the Mesozoic, which I'm a big fan of, and I've collected quite a few of those over the years. And those tend to go for the bit more of the realistic dinosaur look. Mm-hmm. How did all that come about? How did that series come about?
I've been into dinosaurs for a long time, and it was a pitch that I ran by a few companies that I worked for, and there was always interest, but it never went all the way. So eventually, I just decided to give it a shot on my own. Never really intended to start a toy company or anything. I just wanted to see if the concept had any traction in the market, and apparently there's a fan base for scientifically accurate dinosaurs. Personally, I was never really into Jurassic Park too much. For me, it all started with like Dino Riders and things like that. Nice. And back then they were trying to be accurate, and I'm just kind of carrying that forward, I guess, into like more modern scientific findings, and basically turning animals into action figures. That's kind of my thing. So
yeah. Yeah, it's great always hearing, because you always hear people sort of saying like the Velociraptor series, because that was the one that I mainly followed, and a lot of people they look nothing like the Velociraptors. Like, did you even realize the Velociraptors don't look like what Jurassic Park portrayed? They're kind of over the years we found out they've got feathers and they're a bit more bird-like, and I like the fact that you guys went all in on the kind of proper scientific style of the dinosaur, how it should have looked, which I think is so cool to see.
Yeah, that's where it all started, and that's actually where my interest in this started. Was when I was looking at dinosaur books as a kid, and like around the time that Jurassic Park was popular, and I was comparing the two. I was looking at the scientific illustrations of Velociraptor, and I'm thinking, this is really different. So I wonder what else is different from the movies. And turns out like a lot of it is different, and I just became more and more fascinated with prehistoric life and just how it connects to our modern day animals and all of it. So I always thought it would be cool to have a toy line based on natural history, and dinosaurs just seemed like the most logical place to start. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge gap in the market for collectors. That's the thing that stood out to me, was that as an adult collector, I think is the term we like to use. But as adult collectors, when it comes to dinosaurs, your only real option for a semi-decent action figure of a dinosaur was the Jurassic Park line, to be fair, for a long time. And even then, they were still playable toys. They weren't collectible toys. So it's a huge gap in the market that I think a lot of people were really glad that somebody came along and filled, and to kind of make it scientifically accurate and give us that kind of, like, the Raptor series again for me was the one that stood out when I first came across you guys. That's just an added bonus that they are what they were supposed to be.
Yeah, and an interesting thing about trying to do scientifically accurate dinosaurs is that in some instances, while it's in production, you might have a new discovery and it might end up looking different the following year. So, like, for example, if I had decided to do a Spinosaurus back in 2016, it would be completely wrong by 2018, and then be wrong again by 2020. So, so I'm glad I held off on that one. But yeah. But every once in a while we have something like that. Like for instance, they found that the Triceratops had scales on the frill, and when we did ours, there was the popular theory that it didn't. So, you know, eventually we'll come back and revisit that. So.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the things that I always like is when I got into the Velociraptor series, I started looking on your website and things like that, and sort of learning more. And then because you've got the toy, you kind of want to learn more about it, and that's what we found out about the Velociraptor's classic, hooked toe claw, which obviously in the movies was always portrayed as the slashing of the belly and all that good stuff. Whereas in realistic terms, it was used more to hold its prey down, I believe, and more to use of a grip hook rather than a weapon, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of theories about it, but most of what we're familiar with is from the movies, and that is cool in its own way because it made dinosaurs so popular, with everybody. And for those that want to learn more, there's plenty of ways to learn more. So.
But I think that's the great thing about your series, because it is that scientifically accurate. You kind of like doing these awesome collectible toys that, like, even my daughter and that has really enjoyed looking at, because it looks nothing like the dinosaur that she's so used to looking at. So, and then it's kind of like then going and finding out more. It's making her want to go read other books about dinosaurs, which is kind of cool. So it's a great little learning tool as well as a collectible toy, I think.
Yeah, it's great. And one of the things that that I really enjoy about natural history is that when you get deep enough into it, you start noticing similarities to our own human species, and start looking into our own origins and how it lines up with other things that came before us, and the fact that we're part of this whole biological system that started so long ago, and we're connected to so many things. I think it's a very exciting thing.
Yeah,
that's very cool. And sorry, go on, mate.
Oh, I was going to say, when it comes to the information that you get, is it all your own information, or have you got like a team of, paleontologists and stuff that work with you? How do you make sure that things are so accurate?
I work with several people that are in touch with paleontologists, and occasionally when I can, I do work with paleontologists directly. In addition to that, I've also found like reliable websites that, or people on the web who have blogs or whatever. Just through being part of that community, I've, figured out where to research and like where to get the best information from. It's not going to be 100% accurate all the time, but it's going to be pretty close most of the time.
Oh, amazing.
That's very cool. And sort of moving forward, you guys are going for Cyberzoic, which is, I believe, your first IP, like your first major IP. Is that right?
Yeah. And it's something that I've kind of been kicking around for the past 30 years or so. It's been sort of evolving on its own in the background, and it's such a big concept that I would have never been able to attempt it several years ago. I had to kind of build towards it with something simple like Beasts of the Mesozoic, which was just animals. And now with the profits from selling the Beasts of the Mesozoic figures, I'm able to fund the development of Cyberzoic. And it's a very big, ambitious project, and it has a lot of elements to it. And it's something I just wanted to put out there and see how people felt about it. I thought it had potential to be something, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah,
I mean, I've got to say as well, like, huge congratulations, because if I'm correct, you've already absolutely smashed your goal, haven't you, in regards to the Kickstarter campaign, which is phenomenally awesome to see for a toy company to kind of just smash it out the water the way that you have. We've still quite a long time to go, realistically.
Yeah, it's only been 1 week so far. 1 week today since it launched. Yeah.
Wow. That's phenomenal. So, I mean, congratulations. I've got to say, you did touch on Dino Riders, and I've got to pull back to that because that was one of my shows as a kid. Like, it came out in, what was it, late 80s, 89, 88, something along those lines.
87, like 80s.
Yeah.
'88 is when it was most popular. Yeah.
And it was one of those shows that, you know, back in the day, they loved kind of putting the television shows out to promote the toy lines, didn't they? And vice versa and stuff. So, but for me, I remember I had so many of them, and it was just such a cool concept as a kid, as I'm sure you'll agree, that you had this dinosaur that in itself is just cool, and then all these bits that just attached and made it even cooler. Yeah. And so to see that in kind of modern form was just brilliant. But then also not just a straight release of Dino Riders, because, you know, there's limitations with that, of course. So to see something new and to see something kind of fresh with that in that kind of, you know, thought process was phenomenal. So it does look really, really cool. And I think you've hit it all like spot on. And the fact that you add in dragons as well just makes it that cool. It's like here's a really cool idea. We're going to take a really cool, you know what, we're going to make it even cooler and just throw dragons in there as well. It's very cool indeed.
Yeah, it all just kind of came together organically. You know, I've been wanting to do dragons for a while. I worked on a lot of the dragons at McFarlane Toys back in the day, and always wanted them to have more articulation, always wanted them to be bigger, and I thought that would be a cool thing to do now. And plus, I like I was saying, I've been a fan of Dino Riders for a long time, and you know, this is sort of a spiritual successor in a way in my mind. So just kind of take that element, have the dragons in there, and then also, I mean, obviously, I'm a big Transformers fan, so we have like some transforming elements going on, and there's actually a story to it as well. So, you know, just kind of having fun playing in that world and connecting everything.
Yeah, when I was on the Kickstarter page, I really liked the concept of the story of, you know, going back in time, you've gone forward. You're on an alien planet. We've resurrected the dinosaurs to combat these alien dragon species. That's a really cool concept because you're able to keep the natural history element of your dinosaurs, which has always been your primary kind of thing, but then you're able to throw in that scientific alien species of dragons that it doesn't really matter how they look. I'm guessing you got some kind of a bit of creative around the dragon stuff, which is cool. And plus, obviously, who doesn't want to see dragons versus dinosaurs? Come on, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. And then we also have the elements of the artificial intelligent robots.
Yeah.
That we basically created to combat the dragons, and now they become our own threat. So, you know, there's a lot of angles to it, and you know, a lot of setup for future stories and things like that. So, I'm very excited about it. My team is very excited about it, and you know, it's cool that we have a platform that we can show it off to everybody and see what they think.
With it being like your own IP, is there kind of plans to continue it, to kind of build on that universe, or are you going to be then going on to something different?
No, we have at least 3 parts planned as far as the Kickstarters go. We already have stuff pretty much ready for the second one. We were going to try to fit some more stuff into this Kickstarter, but we just felt like it was too much. And this one is pretty packed as it is. So one thing we want to be careful about something this big is not to overcommit. So we took a few things out toward the end, and you know, we kind of streamlined as best we could while still kind of maintaining the sense of a full world scope. And I think we landed in a pretty good place. There's still a bunch of stretch goals that I haven't shown yet as far as the Kickstarter goes. I'm kind of like revealing those as we open up other stretch goals, and I'll be showing off another one pretty soon. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to come.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that you've formatted the Kickstarter is that people can back different parts of it in like different different creatures and stuff, can't they? Or they can go for the whole thing, or they can kind of pick and choose which bits they want to do.
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with bringing back the audience that I've built Beasts of the Mesozoic on. A lot of them are mostly into animals, and they aren't necessarily wanting to pay for, you know, armors and characters and things like that. If they just want an Allosaurus, they should just be able to buy an Allosaurus. It's not like back in the 80s and, you know, Dino Riders where everything was brand new and like you're all in for the whole set and you put everything together. And it's not quite as simple as that when you're an adult. It's like you're a bit more choosy at this point. So I respect that, and I want to give everybody a chance to pick and choose what they want. And that idea also lended to me developing armors that convert into alternate modes. So if you wanted to just buy an armor, it could stand alone on its own and be a vehicle or a robot animal or something. And if you buy the dinosaur with it, then you can convert it into the armor and have a full set. So there's a lot of ways you can display it.
And that, I mean, credit where credit's due. That's such a detailed, intricate offering, to be able to go kind of, here's all the things, and they all do things independently, and it's just it's an incredibly kind of like putting the audience first, without a doubt, because just looking at the different tiers and stuff and that you had, and the different reward packages that you had, looking at it and sort of thinking, well, that you can have the creature, but you can also have the kind of vehicle and the robot, and it's just very, very awesome. I remember having that T-Rex as a kid, like that big one that on the had like roller balls or wheels or something on the feet, didn't it? And it was so clunky and heavy and stuff, but like the look of it. But as a kid, I just remember it being the coolest thing. Like it was and I was the only one in my friends that had the T-Rex, so I was like, I was like the king. But it's
pretty iconic. Yeah,
very cool. It's one of them lines as well. I've always kind of been on the lookout for it when I go places at conventions and stuff, to see if it pops up and that. But we're kind of entering that era now where it's becoming very sought after, so it's quite difficult to pick up.
yeah, and especially if you want to get one with all the parts. I mean, a few years back, I tracked down most of the Dino Riders collection, and started looking at all the prices, and if you just like bought the parts separately from the actual dinosaur, it costs a fortune. So you really have to get everything all in one go, or don't buy it. Really, they're worth a bit of money at this point.
No, definitely.
Yeah, going through the Kickstarter stuff, I've been really drawn to the I'm going to butcher the name here, I'm sure, but the Echilobeta Giganticus.
Yes, yeah.
That dinosaur just looks so awesome.
Nice. Yeah, that's one of the I guess sort of a main antagonist, because of the armor. Converts into some sort of new animal species, and it's sort of the catalyst for the current storyline, where it gets discovered that the Fire Clan is working on developing this new technology that could potentially start a war. So it kind of kicks things off. So that's a very important entry in the story.
It's really cool.
How did you come up with the characters? Because obviously, like the humanoid characters, if you like, the good and evil side. I mean, that in itself is quite a task, coming up with relatable kind of antagonists and all the rest of it. Was there any kind of thought process behind that, or was it just something that bounced off of the back of the creatures? How did you kind of come up with that side of it?
I had the characters first, because I've been designing my characters since high school, and actually Dragolina is from high school originally.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then eventually, not long after that, I started working on Argentius, and in college, and I have a bunch of old artwork. I'm gonna try to find some time to put a few Kickstarter updates together about like character profiles, just to go into the history of the designs and things like that. But yeah, I actually have more experience designing characters than I do designing the dinosaurs or the armors. So so that's something that's been with me for a long time.
Wow. Because there's so many, I say so many, but in comparison to maybe kind of 5-10 years ago, there's so many companies like yours that are out there kind of creating this IP and Kickstarters and funding stuff, and a lot of it obviously does come to fruition, but I suppose it's difficult to kind of create something that's very different than what somebody else is trying to create, and also is instantly kind of recognizable and likable for the audience and for the customer, and that's one thing that I would definitely say about obviously your setups, is that all of it looks familiar If that makes, I think that's the best word I can kind of come up with. That looking into it and reading it and stuff, I'm like, you know what, this is familiar to me. This makes sense, and you kind of want to know more about it. So, yeah, again, hats off to that one. That's definitely a plus.
Yeah. I want to take a lot of familiar elements and kind of mix them up in a way that we haven't quite seen before. It's kind of what I'm going for. So, I mean, I have a lot of different influences from, my 80s experience. So you see a lot of that in there, not just the Dino Riders, but like I said, the Transformers. There's even some elements of like He-Mans and Zoids in there too.
That's it. I was gonna say John Carter as well. Definitely like a John Carter kind of influence vibe going on as well.
Yeah, I mean, probably say that, but that'd be an accident because I don't know much about that. I'm a big fan of Gladiator, though, the movie, and there's like a whole section that's kind of inspired by that. So
you can see that with like the Colosseum side of it in the artwork and stuff like that. That's very cool indeed. Yeah, no, I like it. I like it a lot. It's very exciting. So when's the movie? That's the it looks like it needs a film. It looks like it needs a Hollywood blockbuster to go with it. That's what it is.
This whole concept was designed to be, for multimedia. Really, I mean, we approached all of it not just as toys, but as like a world that we could have in a movie or a cartoon or a video game, or like just a full immersive world that could just keep going, really. So I'm not sure if we will do more with it. I would love to. I hope we can. But at the very least, we'll be doing the toys. So.
Yeah.
A VR experience where you can see the dinosaurs in full scale and walk around them. That'd be amazing.
That would be, that sounds cool.
But David, thank you very much for coming on, man. So where can people find out more about this new awesome IP?
Go to cyberzoic.toys and it will take you automatically to the Kickstarter and watch the video. It'll pretty much tell you everything in 2 minutes, and then check out all the offerings right below that.
Cool. And we're going to leave a link in the description that goes direct to the Kickstarter as well. So please check out the description, guys, if you want to learn more about Cyberzoic.
I've got to say as well, your Instagram page is a good source of knowledge as well. That's where I first came across you. Lots on there as well. I've got to ask as well, because I tend to ask with a lot of the guests, the name. Where did the name come from?
I actually it just kind of popped in my head one night, and like the next day I contacted my trademark lawyer and said, hey, let's put this through. And this was like 4 or 5 years ago, and because I would hate if I just sat on it for a while and it ended up not being available anymore. So for some reason, I just thought it was a cool sounding name. It's easy to say, it's easy to remember, and it really ended up playing into the story, because you think of like the different Zoics are ages throughout history, sort of based on the life forms on the planet, and this story kicks off with the beginning of this new artificial life form, which are basically robots. So it kind of lends itself to the Cyberzoic age, and it just all kind of fit together very naturally.
Fantastic.
That is very cool.
It's always interesting to hear where people's the names came from and all that kind of stuff. But as I said earlier on as well, I mean, obviously you've reached your goal, haven't you? You've kind of smashed that with the amount of backers in that 1 week. So I can't wait to see where it goes for the rest of the campaign. I think it's got about 23, 24 days left on it, something like that, from the time we're recording.
Yeah, right. 3 weeks or so.
Yeah. Brilliant. No, thank you ever so much, David. There we go.
From prehistoric to the fantastic.
There you go. No, that was cool. I enjoyed speaking to David.
I'm glad I changed my shirt this week, because last week I noticed that when we had the special guest on and then we did the podcast, I had the same shirt on in both videos. I thought, that looks disgusting.
So did I.
Like I just never get changed.
So did I. That's exactly what I thought. I thought it looked like we had planned it. That we were going, right, if we wear this shirt on this day, and then we'll wear it again. Yeah, that is cool. But no, it's a really interesting line for anyone that hasn't kind of checked it out or I'm familiar with it. It is a really interesting line, and I'm like I said in the interview, I'm loving the Dino Riders element to it. It's just the very 80s nostalgic vibe to it.
Yeah.
So let's get back to New York Comic Con. We've got still got a little while of the show left.
Under the TV thing, one thing I didn't discuss with you, have you watched Fall of the House of Usher yet?
No.
Oh, it's amazing.
Is it good?
So basically, they've taken all the works of Edgar Allan Poe and just basically combined them all into one big like universe story. So like the Black Cat's in there, the Raven, the Mask of the Red Death, all of them, Pit the Pendulum, all of them are in there in some form or another. It's very clever how they've done it. And it is a decent story. I'm really enjoying it. Me and my dad are watching it together. We're on episode 3 right now. And we watched the second episode last night, which was the Mask of the Red Death, which obviously I just got the figure for and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's kind of fresh in my mind. But it was such a cool little like concept and stuff. I'm really enjoying it. It's by the people that made that, the people that did the Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor.
Yeah.
It's by that group of people, and it's got all the same actors in that have been in like loads of like all these kind of like Netflix projects for horror. They've all kind of been the same stuff, haven't they? A bit like American Horror Story. I
was going to say, it's very American Horror Story-esque, isn't it? Like kind of taking what's worked well there and replicating it. But no, I loved Hill House. Hill House is something that I hold quite dear because it's a show that I was involved in as well. But yeah, I'll pick it up. It was one of them ones that keeps popping up, and I'm like, I should get to it. But yeah, I'm watching Gen V at the moment, which obviously the Boys spin-off, and that comes out once a week. So it's just a slow burn, like waiting for things to come out. Is really like, I don't know, like on streaming services, it's kind of like, you know what, I've got the streaming service, I just want all the episodes, just give them to me now. Like,
yeah, because I mean, we've even had like this week alone, we've had the Goosebumps TV series drop as well, which I've not got around to watching. Creepshow series 4 has dropped on Shudder. There's so much TV right now for Halloween, it's insane.
That's cool. That is cool. Yeah, I'll pick it up. Let you know what I think.
Back to the old New York Comic Con. I'm not going to cover old ground because we've already looked at a lot of stuff in the past few episodes because obviously it was the same as the Toy Fair. But we did get this little lovely, which I really like the look of.
This is very cool.
Yeah, so this is the new playset that's coming out for Universal Monsters. It's got the crankshaft and stuff, and it's a bit more of a modernized version of the Frankenstein sort of playset, which is very cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that develop and see what else they're going to give us. Because obviously, if they've already planned this one, I'm hoping they're planning other ones. Like I said in my post online and stuff, I would love to see them do the organ for the Phantom, or even like a playset for Dracula, like a backdrop maybe, or something to stand him in, like a little alcove thing.
I'd be all over like an Egyptian one for the Mummy, because then I could buy that for Moon Knight. I'd be up for that.
Oh, the sarcophagus for the thing, mate, is amazing. The sarcophagus is great, and Moon Knight would fit in it.
Yeah.
I've got the sarcophagus, and I've used it with... Yeah, I even used it with the Turtles, Michelangelo, and when that dropped.
Oh, of course you did. I saw that. Yeah, I did see that.
Speaking of Turtles, look at the segue there. We got a Raphael the Wolfman and Leonardo as Creature of the Black Lagoon. We did see these before, but now we get to look at the boxes. Woo! Box art. So they have the box art on display, but very cleverly, they didn't have them turned to the side. They were in a corner, like the corner of the thing, so you couldn't see the side art and you couldn't see the back of the box, which would reveal if any other figures were in that wave.
Okay.
So they cleverly hid that from sight. So
the fact that they've displayed it like that shows that
there's probably going to be 2 or 3 more in the line.
Yeah.
I reckon we're going to probably see Michelangelo as the Metaluna mutant, because it would match his character. And then Donatello as Dracula, because we've seen Donatello as Dracula once before in the 1980s. However, people have said as well, it could be cool to see Shredder as Dracula. And then you give Donatello something else to do. But Shredder as Dracula would be quite a cool one as well.
Who would you have Splinter as? I've already done the Wolfman.
Yeah, I don't know who Splinter could be in the next line. But there's so, like, I mean, now that Super 7 have got access to like Metaluna Mutant, Nosferatu, they've got so many characters they could use now, like more modern ones. I'd love to see them do a modern Universal crossover. So, like, you know, like you could have like Michelangelo as It, and you know what I mean, like really modernize them and go from like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Freddy, and that'd be awesome in the Turtle style.
That would be fun. It's a weird one, isn't it? How you get these crossovers, like Turtles and Monsters, like Star Wars and Christmas. Like it's just odd, but people love it.
We're gonna get a new black and blue color variant version of Mezco's Gangrene Estates 112 collectors from Theodore Sodko, the one that I got. That I really fell in love with earlier this year. This figure is going to be absolutely amazing. I'm looking forward to it. It's all black robes with like blue face this time around, which I don't know. I like the blue face better than what's on mine.
Does it work? Does it work with a black light?
Oh, that would be cool.
I'm been trying all my figures out with black lights recently because I got a black light. I bought one. Bit of a dangerous thing, but I bought a black light from Amazon. They're not very expensive, but the reason I bought it is because I don't know if you can actually see, but the Thor that I've got here, the Hot Toys, so his eyes light up under a black light, and all of the effect pieces light up under a black light. And man, it's really changed my opinion of some figures. It's really weird. Like even on like the Marvel Legends, for example, like Lady Sif from the Dark World, her face lights up. None of the others do, but her face lights up. But then you get characters where it would look good lit up, and it doesn't light up. If that makes sense. But while we're just talking about that, just while we are segueing, it's kind of on monsters. I've got to give a shout out to RDJ. Obviously done my Robbie Reyes thing, but under the black light, can you? Oh no, it's not really gonna work. But the whole flame all lights up under the black light. It's just a very awesome. And after I saw that, I was kind of like, man, this is a missed opportunity with action figures, like especially the horror ones. Like they need to get more on that.
Well, blacklight seems to be the new thing because DC have been doing it and Funko are doing it massively, and they're now doing the Hot Topic Scare Fair for Halloween again, where a bunch of new exclusives are coming out. And as you can see there, there's a Blacklight Sam there. So the Blacklight line is getting bigger and bigger. So I think it's only a matter of time until like Hasbro cotton onto the idea. It's a good way of re-releasing figures in just neon colors and making them fancy.
But all of the brands, like just anything that it's just so it's not something that I would buy a figure for, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But because the Thor Hot Toys was like, and also, I mean, they all light up. All of the stuff lights up like most Hot Toys do. But it was like, and also under the black light, his eyes will glow and his effect pieces will glow. So I was like, for the sake of a couple of quid, I'll pick one up to see what it's like. And then I was just going through all the figures and I was like, oh man, that one lights up and that one doesn't. But yeah, RDJ's Robbie Reyes head lights up under the black light, which is just really fun.
It's like that Nightmare Before Christmas bedding that we got. That's all black light.
Is it?
Yeah, I think your son got it, didn't he? Because you were laughing at the fact that I've got it in the background here, but your son got it. That's black light responsive because I tested it out the other day. Which don't ask me how I got into that. But we were
black light over your bed, like.
I was planning on putting black light under my cabinet to make my figures glow. I was going to put black light because obviously, like it'll be like a purpley green.
Yeah.
Which would work, as you say, with horror. But my dad said, "Do you really want a black light under your bed?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah, good shout, good shout.
But speaking of Nightmare Before Christmas, that box set, the San Diego box set, is all black light, isn't it? Because the box comes with a black light. But it's just fun being able to play with those figures without the box, if that makes sense. And you can pick them up on Amazon for like £6. They're not even expensive.
Yeah, and Funko on the European website just dropped the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's the box set with all 4 clowns in, and they're all blacklight ones. They're all blacklight, and they look amazing. Triple
G Comics is in the chat. Couple of Hot Toys have blacklight effects. The Black Panther's costume has the effect. I didn't know that. I've been holding out on Black Panther, but now that Triple G,
guess who's buying the Black Panther later?
I'm going to be all over Black Panther later. Thank you very much, Triple G. Only because they've only just released a new one, so I was kind of like, oh, where do I go with it? But anyway, back to NYC Comic Con.
So this wasn't NYC, but it was just, I thought this was just interesting. So, recently the whole Monster High dolls have been doing lots of crossovers with monster projects and Halloween and horror stuff. Well, Bratz seem to be getting very upset by this and want to get in on the market. And they put this picture out at the weekend, which this version of the Elvira doll absolutely pisses all over the Mattel Creations one. This looks so much nicer. And they didn't just do this one, they also showed us a Carrie. So I think Bratz are going to town with monsters on Universal products. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. But Bratz seem to be they're too good to just be someone's customs that they're just showing off.
Because is that a genuine release though, or is it just that they've used the Bratz doll as the?
We don't know yet. So Bratz, if I go to their actual things, I'm sharing my screen here. If I go to their actual page, this is their official page. This is Bratz. Check logo and everything, 1.7 million followers. And if you scroll down, they've just all these lovely girl pictures, then all of a sudden that. And they've just put, if I concentrate hard enough, I can move things, #Bratz. Right? And they put that one up, and then they put Elvira up a day later, just put in feeling spooky, how about you? #Bratz. And they've been driving creators nuts all week because everyone's like, what you doing? What's this? Because that looks too good to just be someone's custom that they've just shared with them. Because they would surely put, thanks to @so-and-so for creating this custom Bratz. They've not done that. They've put a genuine sort of like teaser, how are you feeling, spooky kind of thing. So I think there's a genuine crossover franchise coming out.
What a good way to get people, because they've not mentioned any of the actual IP, have they?
Nope.
So what a good way to get on the back of that kind of horror theme by just putting out some good photographs of their dolls in horror situations.
Yep.
It's quite clever. If it's not official, if it's not like a new product coming out, that's a very good market employ. Because the Carrie one, for example, with the blood, that doesn't look like as you would buy it. That looks like blood that's been put on it for a photograph.
So basically, the Bratz dolls, there's like 4 or 5 different characters in Bratz, apparently. And they've just recently done like the punk lineup. So they like made all the dolls look like 1970s, 80s punks. And now this could be like a cosplay Halloween crossover line.
Yeah, that would work. That'd work.
So they're not saying the doll. So they're not saying the doll is Elvira. What they're saying is this is Chloe from Bratz dressed up as Elvira for Halloween. And that's how they would get around it. And I think that would work.
That would work. That would work very well. That would work very well. But you're going to have a lot of Elvira fans like looking to pick this up because, like you say, it looks better than the offer that's out there. And it might be as simple as that. Somebody in the office might have gone, our doll looks better than that, so let's dress it up.
It even looks better than the Living Dead doll, in my opinion. The Living Dead doll doesn't look like Elvira. It's because they kind of reused the Morticia one, I think, and repainted it.
Right.
So the Elvira one doesn't quite look right. So I think this one actually looks really good.
The makeup style of those figures, though, does work well with the Elvira.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then, do you remember these masks and costumes from being a kid?
Yeah. Oh my god, are they what? Are they like trick or treat at Halloween?
So, NECA have officially been given the license to make Ben Cooper action figures. So,
wow.
We're going to be getting a line of merch solely based on the costumes we had as kids.
That's
complete
insane.
With retro pumpkins. So
they look exactly the same.
Yep. We don't know what body these are going to be on yet because they've got 2 different body molds they could use. They could use the Kevin McAllister body, and which would make sense. But personally, I don't, because although they wouldn't, because that would then make these the retro series, which I don't think they would do. I think these are going to be based on the Halloween figures, the Season of the Witch. I think they'll be based on this one because that's going to be about the right scale. And the body looks quite similar. When I was looking at like the articulation points, it looks very similar to the way they built it on that photo. Yeah. So I think it's this. And basically they've taken these figures. They wouldn't need to do anything. They would literally just need to stick new clothing on them because the clothes come off these ones. So they'd be able to even use these same molds and just repurpose them.
So then you're essentially going to be able to buy like late 80s, early 90s trick-or-treaters.
Basically, Super 7 started off. I don't know why Ben Cooper's coming up. I'm not sure if it's like an anniversary or something. But basically, there's a load of Ben Cooper merch that's been announced from Super 7. They're making the 5 POA figures. But they've gone for like, there's like a Misfits version and Bachelor. You know the characters they made for the Worst series where they've made up their own kind of monsters?
Yeah.
They've kind of done like Ben Cooper versions of those. So the Super 7's gone for the proper, NECA's gone for the proper traditional ones. That these are actually the real masks and stuff. Because I looked it up earlier. These are the genuine costumes that we had, like back in the 70s and 80s.
I wonder whether they're going to be detachable. Because if they're detachable, those masks are going to be like gold dust.
Oh yeah.
Like a 1/12 scale Halloween mask from that era, like that period of time.
Oh, imagine the photos you could do where you use your NECA Frankenstein with the Frankenstein Ben Cooper mask, like playing with it or something. That would be a cool photo to do. Things like that, they'd just be a lot of fun one to have.
And just even really random crossovers, like things like Deadpool in a mask like that. Do you know what I mean? Like trick or treating and stuff. Like there's so much possibility, but that hits right in the nostalgia in a really positive way.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, can't wait to see more about this. This was literally announced this weekend. They didn't even like shout about it. These were just on display, and they just kind of let the internet do its thing. Which obviously, with it being so nostalgic, to like most of the collectors are about our age, so most people kind of cottoned onto that and went, "Oh my god, that's Ben Cooper." So
that's crazy. It's that one. It's that creature from the Black Lagoon. Like I had all of those masks.
Personally, I would want Creature and Frankenstein, I think, out of all of those.
I think I'd want all of them. I remember having the devil. I remember having the mummy, the skull, like all of them. Is there the vampire one there?
No, he's not there.
Oh,
I can only assume, because it ends there. Look, I can only assume that we might get those in like a wave 2, maybe, if they continue the line.
I'm trying to think if there was any others. The vampire one is definitely sticking out in my mind.
There was quite a few when I looked them up earlier. We do it again. Ben Cooper Halloween Mask Universal Monsters. Because there was the famous Dracula one, which we're not getting, which I don't know why. But there was a few more, like Bride of Frankenstein they've not done yet. Wolfman.
Yeah. Oh, of course,
so, yeah, there's still a few more they could do with it if they did a wave 2, and obviously Phantom of the Opera was another one they did. So they've got the rest of the line, and then Metaluna Mutant was released as well. So they've got the Witch as well. Oh, the Witch, the Blue Witch.
Of course, yes, with a hat.
Yeah, so yeah, there's definitely a wave 2 in the works if it does work out. They could release these this Halloween, leave it a year, and do a second wave next Halloween. People would buy them if they release different ones every year. All they'd have to do is change the costumes and the masks.
Yeah,
it must be quite easy for them to do.
They could even just release them as the masks, though. It's like they could just they could.
Oh, an accessory pack where you can take the costumes off and put new ones on. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
They really could clear up with that. That's awesome.
I think the little pumpkin accessory is going to be the thing that's going to be everyone's going to be wanting on the groups.
Yeah,
the little retro pumpkins.
Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
That was all the toy news.
Oh, really?
There wasn't really a lot else. Super 7 showed off all the same stuff that showed off at the Toy Fair. It was all the same grayscale molded stuff. So it was basically like all these companies just packed up and put it in storage for 2 weeks and brought it all back out. That's how it feels. Too close together, I think. Yeah,
definitely. It's just weird that, I mean, it's odd that there wasn't anything huge. There wasn't like a central talking point of New York Comic Con. Do you know what I mean?
No, all of these products, all the big stuff seems to get announced by the companies themselves now at their own mini cons and their own online things. COVID kind of did a lot of companies a lot of good in the PR departments because they got used to making their own marketing stuff, so they don't need the Comic Cons to shout it anymore.
No,
that's the thing. No. And did you see some of the Nerf stuff that's been leaking out?
Yeah, not really. I'm not really a big follower of the Nerf stuff. It's crossed over into so many different properties now. I'm like, okay.
Well, they did a line of Stranger Things ones.
Oh, really?
And one of them is the bat. You know, the bat that he carries.
Mm.
It's the bat, and it's called the nanny bat, and it's basically fires darts out at the end of it. It's so weird. And then you've got the big flower-headed monstery thing, the Demogorgon. There's like a gun version of the gat with it opens up and shoots little things out. And it was like it's like it's the most unnecessary line I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it just made no sense to the story.
No, that's mad. I think their Fortnite crossover was probably one of their best moves when it came with giving all the people were actually being able to hold the weapons that they were playing within the game and all that.
I'm surprised that never continued. I'm surprised that Hasbro didn't, because Fortnite's still popular now. I don't know why they gave up on the franchise so easily.
But there are still because they've just recently done a Transformers crossover, haven't they? So like Optimus Prime and who else is in? I think Bumblebee's in it, Megatron. Like there's a few Transformer characters like in the game. And I'm really surprised that because that's obviously a Hasbro crossover, but I'm surprised that they didn't push that harder. But I suppose it goes back to what we spoke about at the time, and it's like the same people playing the game don't want to be investing money into product because they'll just invest money into the game.
Yeah, the V-Bucks.
So yeah, but I haven't touched it in ages. I really haven't. I've kind of gone off it.
It's time to jump back in because the Halloween event is on right now, Fortnitemares, and you can download Michael Myers.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Maybe I'll log in just to get that. I log in every now and again just to get the character that has been announced for a short amount of time, just to build the roster. But I haven't actually played it properly for ages. But
yeah, but it is losing traction a little bit now, but it's still there. It's still fun. I still play.
I think it's one of them ones that will be around for a while. So before we do round up, let's just have a look, see if there's been any big movements on the HasLab while I've been talking. I don't think so. No, they are still
single backer.
Still under the 6,000 mark. Obviously, within 6 hours, we're then on the 7 days, X amount of hours. We're kind of into that final week, which means it finishes up on the 24th of October, if I'm right. Or the 23rd. No, the 23rd at midnight is, I think, when it finishes. And then that weekend afterwards is MCM. So that should be interesting because Hasbro will be there. I'll obviously be going to MCM. We've spoke about that in the past, but now Hasbro are there. I'm definitely going to be able to grab an interview of a couple of those. One thing as well that's cool about MCM, I don't know if you followed, but Comics and Cocktails ran a competition. Did you see that?
Yeah, the photos.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool community thing. So basically, Comics and Cocktails, for anyone who doesn't know, really, really good UK-based retailer. And they basically just opened up submissions for people to send in photographs, and they were going to pick 2 winners to print onto their flyers for MCM, which I thought was a really cool, like, community on the level kind of thing to do. Because if your picture gets picked, then you get to go down to convention and see your picture on their desk, like as their flyer. And yeah, I think that's a really, really cool thing.
Sorry, what's that?
He's gone. It's not even the end of the show and he's gone. This is what I get. But yeah, so MCM is coming up at the end of October, and I'll definitely be there. So if anyone is going down, let me know. It'd be great to catch up and say hello. But yeah, we are kind of getting to the end of the show. There's a couple of little bits that we'll just cover over. Obviously, with the interview with Creative Beast Studios this week, we also had the interview with Ramen Toy the week before. We do have a couple more coming, which is very exciting. Me and Sorrell are talking to a handful of different toy companies, and they're coming on board and doing kind of little 20-minute, 30-minute interviews with us, just telling us a little bit about their products and about what it is that they do, and sharing it a little bit more with the wider audience. If there are any companies that you think you'd like to see us talking to, let us know, because we're in that position where we are setting up with them. And now he's back. I better stop talking about him. So here he is. No, I was just saying about our upcoming interviews that we've got. But if there are any companies that anybody thinks of or that would like to see, hear a bit more about, or that they have questions for, then do let us know, because we've got opportunity to speak to quite a few. So it'll be a case of picking out the ones that we're able to do.
But I think what I think could be cool, I think next week we should do a call-in show. What do you think?
Let's have a look. What
so
is the date next week?
basically,
Yeah,
we can share a link in the chat, and you guys can basically join in if you want, either by voice, by video, whatever you want to do. And we can allow you into the chat, and you can basically join us live and talk with us. So we could like bring people in one at a time if they want to join us.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. That's done well up for that. We'll do a call in. The call-in show next week.
I would love it if we did it and no one called in. It's like like that episode of Big Bang Theory. The lines may be jammed, just keep trying. Oh, thank God.
Yeah. No, we will. We'll do it. And then that way, obviously, if people have got something to talk about the particular thing that we're discussing, then obviously let us know. We'll send you a DM with the link, and you can come on. You don't have to have a video on if you don't want to. You can just be like a blank screen and just have your voice. If you want to come on video, then that's great. But yeah, let's do a call in next week. That'd be fun. Cool. But that about rounds up episode 121 of Geek Week. Massive thank you to David at Creative Beast Studios. Do go and check them out. Go and check out their website. Go and check out all the products that they've got on store, in store, and on offer. They're quite niche. They are very niche, but there's no denying that the stuff that they're pumping out is very cool.
Oh yeah.
And it's in regards to dinosaurs. It's your place for dinosaurs. A little bit more difficult for us over here in the UK, but yeah, it is good. It is good.
Kickstarter is worldwide, isn't it? And it's all your shipping that's included if that looks of it. So
yeah, the Kickstarter side of it is very accessible. So yeah, if you're watching us on repeat, then do tune in one of the Sunday evenings. We'd love to have you in live chat. We didn't get to as many of the comments tonight as we probably do normally, so I do apologize. Thank you for those of you that have been commenting along and putting things in the chat. We will get to it next week with the live show.
If you are watching this on repeat as well, just leave us a little commenty poo, just saying, watch back crew, or I'm on the watch back, or I'm watching this back, or I'm enjoying watching you guys. Just whatever you want to put, just type it. Just so we know if anyone is actually watching. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Because that'd be good. That'd be helpful.
Or whether we just have 7 people that just watch us and that's it. Yeah.
And they just watch us all week long. There's more than 7 people. Don't really downplay it. The audience size is actually quite large. There's a couple of big players that always in the chat are like literally filling the chat up. But those of you that are watching and not commenting, just join in. Come along. We won't make a big thing of it. We won't even put your comment up on screen if you don't want it up on screen. But we do like to interact with you as much as we can. As well, if you're not following us on social media, do check out myself and SuperSorrell over on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all the rest of it. Give us a follow, give us a message. Do appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining in this week. We do appreciate it. Have a fantastic week ahead. We are Sunday, so we're going into Monday. And we will catch you next week, I guess. Anything that you want to add before we shoot off, Sorrel?
Bye!
Keep it geek.